Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rojak Borak episode 2. We're here with the Rojak petrol heads. You know them. Katie, wave. Mike, wave. Jeremy, wave. Donald, say hi.
Hello.
So, today, I just want to bring up this interesting topic. I think we all saw it the other day in the WhatsApp group. Some people were talking about cars having a soul. And I thought that was like, that's pretty interesting because to see everybody's take on it, like what is an automotive soul? Like nobody's kind of defined that for everybody or for anyone for that matter. And I think that it was kind of interesting that like it's an interesting topic to explore because there are so many different facets. Like even when we were doing the prep work the other day, it's like where are we going to land on this until we decided that like actually you know what, everybody's got an opinion and I really don't think anybody's wrong, to be honest. So I just want to start the ball rolling and say it like it's a subjective topic, and I know there's going to be people who will be like, "Oh, you got it wrong," but like, let's just start with this with just an example, right? The old NSX, Ayrton Senna, he developed it, right? It was as technologically advanced for just a simple machine, but I mean, that's its soul, right? It's the fact that it did everything so well. But then the new NSX comes out, and everyone's like, "Oh, what is this soulless double A lithium battery powered all wheel drive nonsense that like Kononia they didn't want to put two turbos on, and then by the time the production came around, it's like, yeah, here's two turbos, have like twin turbo, have an IMA engine, it's like, what is going on with that? And what are your thoughts on that, guys? Feel free to jump in. We won't be throwing it to anybody today, so
Yeah, like I feel that the old NSX was much more lively, more fun in terms of if we're talking about car soul. I mean, car soul to me, it has to be something that makes you feel alive when you're driving the car, like a connection between you and your car that you cannot explain. Like
okay.
when you power out of example, when you're driving, you power out of a corner. If the car doesn't feel scary, then it's
Hmm.
just dead.
Okay, I don't know
So
whether
yeah,
that's the same thing we're talking about. Like soul is to give you the scare, the heebie-jeebies is like
bro.
your car's
New
fighting the
NSX,
thirsty.
what I'm trying
VTEC,
to say is that it gives you the butterfly feelings.
Right.
So the
Okay.
new NSX is like all-wheel drive with the hybrid powertrain and all. Like
Do you feel like
there
it lacks
is,
danger?
I feel like it lacks excitement if you ask me.
Okay. Anyone else?
Actually,
Bro, the new NSX don't have VTEC, bro. No VTEC click.
Wait, it doesn't even on like
No,
exhaust
no,
side.
how
It's
bro,
an iVTEC. I don't know what that shit is, but
Okay lah.
it's
That means it's got
definitely
the
not
variable
VTEC
cam. It's got
capable.
variable cam sprockets lah, but maybe not two cam lobes lah. I'm not sure.
No man, you don't hear the engine go.
Even the old
bro.
NSX doesn't do this.
You
Okay,
hear the
bro.
auto.
Okay.
I think for me, from my point of view, I think one of the thing about character, soul, personality comes from imperfections of a car.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, I have an article on an M3, and it's just like the NSX. At today's standard, it's not fast. NSX was quoted the Ferrari killer, but it's not fast. And then after that, it looks old, interior everything, and everything is so mechanical. And today's technology, nothing is mechanical. Even my E90
Mm,
doesn't it's not even mechanical anymore.
yeah.
And there's so many electronics disturbing and stuff like that. But because of all these imperfections that you have all the vibrations going on and things that like what Mike said that's contributing or communicating with you. It's like something is talking to you without talking but using vibrations or actions around you and tells you what you can do and you cannot do, like
Mm,
what Mike says, powering out a corner and feel scary. Right now you drive a fairly high technology car, you power out from a corner with all the ABS and everything helping you and stuff like that. You don't feel scared anymore. You just go ahead and still be probably I'll come out alive with
Your
it.
your
And
F45 is a good example of formatic.
Oh wow! I feel like the attack is on already. You know, Mike's not scared. Mike's scared because he has a rear-wheel drive car, but he's like, "You're not scared, bro. You got an 845."
It's like the 845 is like when you're powering understeer, and when you floor it more, it will just push the power ahead and keep you safe,
Hmm.
push the butt out. But probably that's the new kind of character because of the technology that the
Yeah.
Heldex system will help you power out an understeer and correct your understeer, which is, I mean, probably is a very different realm of soul already. It's evolved, I think.
Okay, maybe something that'll help us sort of define this is like, what is your characteristic for what is a characteristic trait of a soul of a car or soul in a car? Jeremy, give me some nuggets of information here. Like, what do you feel like is a trait of a car's soul, so to speak?
I think it's the looks actually. Like,
You like the looks, huh? Oh shit,
yeah,
man!
no,
You're the
no, no.
first person, man.
I feel like
Bro, I think you should look at the personality more than the looks.
Oh, okay, we'll
well,
get to that in a
I
minute,
mean,
I'm just
though.
joking, okay, I'm just joking. Please
like
continue.
firsthand is definitely the looks first, right?
Okay.
Like sometimes you just you normally just judge like something because of the cover, like so then like when you talk about the old NSX and the new NSX, for me I think the old one, I know a lot of people will think that it's plain, but it's got this like mix of classic and a little bit of a modernity during that time, and
Mhm.
it's got like clean lines. To me it looks good, it looks sexy, and I find that if you were to drive that car, even though like you don't know you don't know cars, like you don't know what's an NSX, you will still look at it and think that it's pretty cool. But the new NSX, I find that yeah, it's loud, it's got like curves.
Is it loud?
Wait, it's
Not
loud.
that
No, sorry,
loud.
sorry, not loud. It's in
No,
that.
it's
I
okay.
think
I
it's
mean,
I
flashy.
think
Lah.
I
It's
think I think
sexy.
the appearance is loud. That's
Yeah,
what it
the
means.
okay.
but
Mm.
like I would think that it's people will think that okay, this is a some people would say that this is a modern sports car, and yeah,
Mm.
it's yeah, but for the old NSX, it's something different. I think it'll turn like heads. Yeah. And I think another thing that you can compare with is like example like some of the old Porsches, like even the Targas, like those people who know it or those people who don't know like Targas, when they see a Targa, they'll be thinking, hey, how come this car it's like this? It's a bit different from the rest. Yeah, I've seen
Mm.
like people will think that they've seen Porsches, but why is this car like this?
With the
Mm.
silver side
Yeah,
pillar, or yeah, the silver V
yeah.
pillar.
So I think the looks is really important. I
Okay.
mean, I'm sure
Okay.
a lot of people out there buy cars because of looks.
That is true. I think you can't.
Okay.
We can't definitely discount that. Like, that's definitely in the mix. So I just want to throw this out there. I mean, this is everyone's favorite least makes sense car ownership story, Alfa Romeos, right? Like,
Yes.
they do one thing. They can build some pretty beautiful cars, but then they can also build some what the f is this car, man? Like, why does it look like this? But I mean, like when you see like was it the Giulia? Is it the Quadrifoglio?
It's a quadrifoglio.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Quadrifoglio. That was a beautiful car, right? Like,
Yeah.
and in my time, I'll be honest, like Alphas never really were on that list for me until I saw like a 145 boxy two door. It just looks like a doorstop. You just put it there and then the door doesn't close. You know what I mean? It's so beautiful in its ugliness, and I was like, that's gotta have some soul, right? Like, and the fact that like an Italian built it and was just sort of like nobody's gonna question this design choice because it came from Italy. It's like anybody that does is a heathen. You know what I mean? Like, but everybody seems to have some sort of romance with Alfa Romeos. Do you know what I mean?
It's a
I-
Ferrari, bro. It's a
I think-
Ferrari.
Personally, I
It's
think
it's
like
a car you can live in.
the reason why alphas can like get this kind of claim, people think that alphas have a lot of souls because they are a car company that are not afraid of going out of the norm. You see, like
Hmm.
most car companies will choose to play it safe.
Yeah.
They will choose a design that goes, I would say, well with the public. You know, they will create nice people carriers. They'll be normal to look at on the road.
Comfy.
Yeah,
Mm.
it will look normal. It will look normal. It will drive normal, and that's good because you're creating a mass-produced car, which is to suit the general public, and that is the only way you can get sales. But Alfa Romeo is a car company that they are not afraid to experiment with, very, I would say, a different kind of design,
Unique.
very adventurous kind of design, which not everybody will like, but they do it because they think that this is a good design, not because they think that the general public will like. And
Mm.
that I think is one of the factors that sets them
Mm.
aside from the rest.
Don, you bring up a really good point here because I wonder now, like when we associate, so like Alpha, we can almost always say that Alpha builds something with soul, right? Like I've never seen a really, really like I've never seen an MPV Alfa Romeo before. Have you all? Have
Is
you ever
there?
seen one? No, right?
No.
There's no Fiat multipler of an Alfa Romeo, right? There's no ugly like Chrysler PT Cruiser for an Alfa Romeo, right?
Oh,
So the question I wanted to bring up was that like we talk about cars having individual soul, right? Like we talked about how the old NSX has soul, but then a lot of people don't feel that the new NSX has soul. Or Jeremy says like, oh, but it's in the looks, so doesn't that count for something? But does that mean that like certain brands automatically have like soul built in, right? It's like, what I mean? It's on the box. When you buy an Alfa Romeo, you're buying this plus soul, Italian soul. There's a little bit of red wine in here. There's a spaghetti meatball, and then there's some very nice finely grated Parmesan cheese on top. You know what I mean?
Actually, I think it does. I mean, when the manufacturer manufacture it, from their starting point or the thoughts of them manufacture or produce the car, it actually kind of tells you any car have a soul. So basically comparing the AMG and the M. So from the long lineage where the M3 started and the AMG started was all from what the 190E. The history
The
also
battle with the 190, yeah, yeah.
battle with the 190E. So from then onwards, 190E and M3 were supposed to carve corners and win championships
Mm.
and win races. But as time moves on, the AMG turns into muscle cars, straight line
Bullets,
abuser.
yeah.
Yes, who
Mm.
just brutally abuse the straight line. So, and then you got the same. Well, the BMWs are the one that carves corner. So
Mm.
you can see the example.
So
Uh, current
it,
generation.
like an M badge already has built-in soul into it, right? Like an AMG badge,
Yes,
while
yes,
it didn't really have one before, but then when AMG became like the number one special edition producer of Mercedes, everyone's like, that's the AMG recipe. That is the AMG soul, right?
yes,
When
yes.
they touch it, you get north of 350 horsepower. In some
Yes,
cases, you get like 300 and 400 and 500 horsepower. You get the Black series, the ones that they don't produce anymore. Do you
yeah,
remember that? The
yes,
CLK
yes,
Black? Yeah.
yes. And you got like AMG is like screaming, I'm the muscle man, I'm the
Mm.
brutal, a brute strength and everything. But when you look at BMW, they are like aggressive and they're like, I'm here to carve corner like nobody else, drifting, be a hooligan around the corners, not the straight and stuff like that. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
see the two
Widowmaker.
different
Widowmaker.
character coming out from two different brands, and you can look at the older cars like the NSX and the new NSX now. What happened, man? Like really,
Okay.
what happened?
I mean, I would say that like one thing I wanted to know is like we talked about brands having soul, right? Like Alpha. Now I'm just gonna be cheeky. I know we didn't talk about this at all during prep, but the Hyundai N series,
Ooh,
Oh,
is that ever going to have
that's a
soul? Like
that's a wild card.
a lot of people talk really nice things about the i30N, and I've sat inside it. I've wanted to take it one for a test drive. I think it sounds great. When I played with the 6-speed shifter at Klims, it was just like it was buttery smooth. It was like I don't even think a Honda is as smooth as that 6-speed shifter. That's pretty bold claim if you ask me, lah. But it was one of those things that I'm like, just because I add an N badge onto something, does it automatically give it soul?
No, it's not.
You don't
It's
think
not
so?
that simple. It's not that
Okay, here I think I can connect this story to my point actually.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we're all here to discuss what makes a car has a proper soul, right? And to me personally, uh, all right. First thing I want to show is I want to show my background picture, as you guys can see. There's a car in this picture. In my opinion, okay, there's a car in this picture, and there's another car which has, in my opinion, one of the most soulful element in this picture. So why don't you guys guess which is which?
We already know who you are,
We
dude.
already know, bro. Come on.
Yeah, we already know you're gonna say the
Okay,
Iswara.
We all know.
I mean, generally people will say, okay, the Lamborghini Gallardo has a lot of soul and blah 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 blah. But on the other hand, I disagree. Okay, for Lamborghini, I would say that their flagship cars are known for having a very soulful car, like the Aventador, the what is it called?
Gallardo,
What was the one before that?
Murcielago.
Murcielago.
Yeah.
Those flagships are the one with the proper soul because they carry the signature V12, and that is their signature dish. That's the French quite proud de resistance. The
Yeah.
signature dish, the V12. This one is not really their signature dish. Okay,
Oh my
which
god.
connects to my point, which is a car. In order for a car to have soul, a car has to have a story.
Okay.
It has to be a very interesting story. The story of how Lamborghini built their cars, the story of the Lamborghini V12. That's what makes it has a soul. Okay, so in my opinion, the Proton Saga also has a very very long story, and it has a very interesting story of how it came to be in 1985. It was Malaysians' first car. It's a joint venture. We Malaysians are very proud of it, and not only on the consumer front, where in the scene of motorsport, they also have a very long history in rallying, where they dominated the rally scene for a short while, in 1991 to 1994. The Iswara four-wheel drive with a 2-liter turbocharged Mitsubishi engine. And also, other than that, we have the Saga Club locally in Malaysia,
Mm-hmm.
which is very famous, and even events like Sepang S1K.
Yeah.
All of those events have the saga very deeply rooted. In order for a car to have soul, a car has to have a story of how it came to be, what makes it special, is
Yeah.
it significant, and do many people know about it? So a car with a story is the one with a soul, because you can basically slap on a badge, you can slap on a name on anything, but if the car doesn't have a story, then I feel that people
What
are
is
just
it,
trying
right?
to make it,
Okay,
seem
I
like
feel
something special, like
so.
like the McLaren Senna.
Yeah.
Yeah, the McLaren Senna. You just call it Senna, but does it have a story? Is there a story behind it? You just call it Senna. Is it developed with Senna? I
Did
don't
not agree, bro?
No.
I don't even think Bruno Senna test drove it, right? Did he? The nephew of Ayrton?
I don't think so. I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think
I'm
so.
not pretty sure, but I don't think so because there's nothing.
It's not special, but I mean they did make a lot of like okay, it is a track weapon lah. It was for a long time their fastest on track car, even faster than the P1, and it had like 300 less horsepower,
Yeah.
which was kind of amazing lah. But okay, I get that. So there's one thing we haven't touched on, and I'm surprised you didn't bring it up, KT, because it's sound, right?
I
Like
haven't
you
really
danced around the topic, you were like, "Oh no, the vibrations, how I feel, what's coming through my butt cheeks." It's like the sound, right? Like if you had
Yes.
if like one time I saw an Alpha 147 GTA, and that comes with that what 3 something liter, or was it 2.5 liter V6 Buso with the ultra almost titanium looking polished intake plenum and that beautiful roar of the V6 and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of stuff sort of turned me on to things like alphas and all that, where I was just like, I never really thought about like engine sound and the richness of it because I used to be like a hardcore VTEC guy, right? Like it's all I care about is like at 9,000 RPM, right? Like nobody knows about like low growling, soulful, almost operatic, go to the Malaysian Philharmonic kind of V6 sound. You know what I mean? Like, what about sound, guys? Is sound a character trait? Because we talked about design, we talk about history and story, we touched a little bit about technology. I want to come back to that one in a minute, though. But what do you guys think about sound?
My car is full of that.
So much. Oh man,
Shots
Uh,
fired.
you're gonna be the
vibration
M3 guy now.
like you have the whole history of where Jason, what is it?
Jason
Jason
Kalisa.
Kalisa just
Yeah.
talk about from the M heritage,
Yeah.
from how it evolves until where it is today. And then the history is checked where it was there to slaughter AMG. And then after that you got the vibration is
Bro,
checked.
you careful, bro. AMG guy gonna go up your ass, bro.
I mean,
Well,
well, it
The-
serves
He's okay. He has an AMG. He can talk. He has
yeah,
a-
he can.
I
Yeah,
mean, they serve two different purposes. And then
yeah.
after that, you got the vibrations check, the hydraulic steering and everything tells you, speaks to you and stuff like that. Then you got the sound, the V8 growl, and that's one of the reason that I actually buy the car.
Mhm.
It's not because of the speed. It's, trust me, it's not fast. I've been bullied by countless 3 series, 4 series, and even the A45 with stage 1 just closed their eyes and blast past me. I was like, fuck man, what the fuck am I doing? You know, like I'm buying a car that has 400 horsepower, which is more than the A45, which is like 380, and they're abusing me like nobody else. You know, and but the thing is, I start forgetting all those things when I floor it down to 8,000. And then during like every time we go toge in like driving on the road, go to Uyam, like on the way to Uyam, it's like 4 to 5 in the morning. I can just blast
Mm.
above 250 through the road. And after that, you can still hear the joy of the sound revving up to 8,000. That is the ones that these are the things that kind of tingles you and kind of makes you forget that, oh shit, my car is gonna go up to the tow truck again.
Okay. Bad memories time, I think.
Like it kind of and like, you know, you have complaints on the road tax, how expensive it is and stuff like that, but when you just listen to it, it's just a cold start without revving up the, you know, that's kind of the feeling where you start up an engine and you have the feeling where, like, when you start it up, it doesn't feel like the new M4 or the new or all the recent cars where you start it up, it's like it goes up like 1,000 RPM, but you don't have a lot of like how do you see it's like when you start a Ferrari, you go like wow, like that.
Yeah.
But and when you start my car, it sounded like that. It sounded very brutal. You have to, like, you know, like I don't need to tell anyone what car is it. I
Yeah.
just start the car. I was
Yeah.
like, it's like then there's like you just waking up a beast like that. So this is the feeling that I went through when I was shopping for an M4 and this M392. When I go in an M4, I start it out, I drive it like a normal person. It just feels normal because the vibrations are muted. Everything is not there. Sound is not there until you really get onto it. And but when I start this E92 M3, the moment I started out, I was like, shit, man, I'm I'm not in the normal car anymore. I'm not in
Okay.
a Golf R or something.
Whoa.
Because
Whoa.
you have the 2 liter vibration.
I'm glad you didn't say Club Smart.
I guess what Katie is trying to say is he's the neighborhood alarm lah.
Yeah. It's kind of like you go into it's on a different spectrum of cars. Although if you put it up on a stage two golf R, they'll just
Yeah, lah, it's different
brutally
lah.
murder me. They'll just brutally murder me. I have friends like, oh shit, man, my car make horsepower than your car. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
I mean, I guess that's part of the whole thing about like I get a sense of occasion.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like even when I see your car in your background photo right now, I feel like I look at it, I'm like, oh my god, that is beautiful. It's like I don't need to hear it start, but I already can feel something for it.
It's
It's just
so.
like what Jeremy said just now, right? Like you when you see it, you get a sense of occasion. You see it like, oh shoot, something is in the pit of my stomach, which making me realize there is something here. There's some presence here. There's something. Not just there's a ghost in this shell, for example. Pardon the pun. You know what I mean? Like there is
Yeah.
something in here. You know?
Which is one of the reasons that contribute to soul, which is what you just said.
Yeah.
We also didn't really talk about it. The presence,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
like you see it, you know it. Like there's something alive in it.
Hmm.
It's got a very timeless look, actually.
It
For
does.
me, like yeah,
Yeah, but then those
Definitely.
pasta auntie also gonna say, you drive 3 Series only.
What to do,
My son doctor, he drive 5 Series, you just drive 3 Series only.
Walao, can't compare lah like that.
520i some more. Ah.
520.
Yeah, 520, please.
530E, bro. 530E.
Oh.
Oh, there's like so many of them in my building, man. There's like two 530Es here in my building.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. I wanted to go back to the reason why I said I wanted to come back to technology was because in the WhatsApp group, somebody typed out and said R35 GTRs have no soul.
Oh, no.
And
Oh.
I just want to touch on the topic. It's not that I'm trying to pick fights with people on the WhatsApp group and then they come back at me in real life and all that. There's nothing to do with that. I just think that like if R35s have no soul, I wanted to find out like is it because of the technology? Because that's why it has no soul. Because to me that doesn't make sense. Because the 32 GTR all the way to 35 GTR, those cars have always been about technology, right? We would not have the Atessa four-wheel drive system, which is kind of like a Haldex if you ask me. It is almost permanently rear-wheel drive unless you need the front wheels to spin up. This is like an early version of Haldex, only in reverse, right? It's not front-wheel drive all the time; it's rear-wheel drive all the time. So to me, that's always been the special part of the GTR, right? It's just like it does some weird, kooky, crazy PlayStation Gran Turismo 2 stuff. You know what I mean? Like it has a G meter in the car. I don't know, like because we're so happy to say like, oh, new NSX no soul looks good, but to me it's just like okay, right next to an old NSX. Sorry, but I'll sell two kidneys, cut off my right pinky. I might donate one ball, and then I'll get the old NSXR lah. Give that to me lah. I don't know whether I'm speaking nonsense lah, but it's for me it's very hard to accept that a GTR has no soul. It's from my opinion lah. You know what I mean?
I think the GTR is a legacy lah.
It's
But
a badge legacy, right?
yes, the thing is that it because technology is always evolving. So maybe some people they just like the R32 to 34 GTR legacy, but you have to think back that maybe our kids in the future will look back and think that the GTR is a car with soul. Because technology is always evolving. We cannot say just because the GTR is packed with a lot of technology to help the car be fast on the straight or the corner and say it has no soul. You can't put it that way. It
Yeah.
still has this like what Katie said. What John said. Sound. It definitely has a sound. It has the looks that Jeremy said.
Oh, it has a very loud sound, bro.
Yeah, it definitely has the story, like what Don said.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yes.
it will try to kill you if you do a launch control. So whatever every one of us stated what we think that makes a car full of soul, the GTR has that even in the R35. So it's just that some people are too maybe they're just too they had emotional attachment to the R32 to R34. It's just that.
it's all those classical emotions, I think. Like it's true if you want to compare, like let's say the R32 Soul and the R35 Soul is whether it's being diluted or being concentrated. That's more on what should be expressed on is the concentration of the soul
Hmm.
rather than saying that it has no soul.
It's
You
just
know,
less.
arguably, yes, I think because like you still have the Atessa system from the
Yeah.
I mean you still have the same system that comes from all the way from the R32 GTR.
Still have your boost meter, G meter,
Yeah.
all.
The G meter, everything all the way through until now. It's just I think people thought that it has no soul is because of uh it still comes
Sorry.
down to the concentration of
Actually, I think the main thing that probably separates the R34 and before it to the R35, the main difference is just I believe lah the transmission. Maybe people that prefers the older GTRs, they just like manual transmission cars. So maybe they think without the manual, the car has no soul.
Okay, I want to ask a question to you guys. Okay. Firstly, I don't think it's technology because okay, let me ask you guys a question. Okay. La Ferrari got what is it called? Got soul or not?
Got sound ma.
Got soul or not?
Got lah.
No,
Got
I
right.
can't
But
tell. I
because
never drive one before.
No, no,
I
no.
mean,
I mean, in your opinion, La Ferrari, right? Got soul or not?
okay, let's go around the room. Mike, you start.
You know?
I think in my opinion it has soul because it
Yeah,
has
it
it
has
has a
soul.
it's like a legacy car,
It's a
it's
Ferrari.
unique. It's a legacy car, it's unique. It's unique to itself. Like
Okay.
and it's loud, it's fast, and of course it's not the safest car in the world. We know that it will try to kill you if you do stupid stuff.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So I
Okay.
believe it has a soul, but how different is it compared to R34 in terms of soul? It's
Hmm.
subjective.
I think maybe we just go around answering it lah. Like, what do you think, KT? Do you think yes or no? Got it? Does it have a soul?
yes, definitely.
Okay.
Because it the LaFerrari to me is a representation
Mhm.
of a revolution.
Okay.
Hypercars.
It's not just hypercar, it is using a thing supposedly, it is like abusing something it's environmental friendly and make it into a fucking huge volcano that blasts it out from the earth, middle of the earth.
Okay.
Okay.
It is a revolution. This technology can be found in my Honda City Hybrid, bro. The
Oh.
fucking battery works with the engine because it wants to save petrol. The Prius, it has the battery and the engine work together to save petrol, but not the fucking LaFerrari, not the
Ah.
P1, not the 918. They were
Yeah.
just like, you
Yeah.
know what? Screw this shit, I'm gonna take this and mix it into another level.
Yeah.
And then after that, it is so scary. It when I see it on video, I see it on people reviewing it. People are scared of things like that, and the sound is like close to perfect. You know,
Close, just
and
close.
yeah, just close because there's
Yeah.
another way more.
Yes, we'll get to that later.
We're gonna touch that anyway. So that kind of I cannot tell you how does it feel driving it because
Mm.
I believe in my whole life, this life, I'm not even sure I will be able to see or even
Yeah.
feel.
That's
But
true.
by looking at it, by seeing at it, by hearing at it, I can safely say that yes, it's filled with soul. Even technology has improved and stuff like that. But putting side by side with the Enzo, maybe
Mm,
Okay. Jeremy, what do you think?
I mean, back to the looks, guys. It's just gorgeous. I mean,
Oh.
Ferrari. Oh, Ferrari.
it's just sex on
Damn,
you.
where's the tissue? Where's the tissue?
Yeah, because I mean, even if you hate cars, like if let's say one drives by you, you're definitely
Yeah,
gonna
you just look. Yeah, you come back
Yeah.
and look.
yeah. But okay, so like when you then I want to ask like whether okay, this is gonna be I know it's a yes or no answer, but you know, like when the F40 first came out, like
Mhm.
some people will say like, hey, how come like, you know, some of the angles like they are a bit boxy and you know like they look a bit funny for its generation, but today if you ask anyone like, hey, what do you think of the F40 like car guys, like they will say that whoa, it's you know it's something really out of the ordinary.
Mhm.
It's got that it's got a feel like it may not be the fastest car like what Katie say, like it's not necessarily about the speed, but if you look at it, it's like you know you can just park at a garage and you know you can even frame it up or yeah
Wow.
because it looks so
No man abomination. Need
but
to
Yeah, you
drive
don't
that
frame up
car.
a F40 lah, bro.
I mean you know what I mean lah. So
Yeah.
like but if during when it first came out, like people would think that hey, you know that car is just maybe like it's I don't know whether it's the time relevance or what maybe the new NSX like 20 years down the road someone will say like hey
Yeah,
it's a gorgeous looking car like you know
that's a
so
strong
yeah
point.
yeah
Okay, I'll just say that, just to keep it short, I'll say that definitely LaFerrari has some soul, but I also believe that it benefits from the fact of being called a Ferrari.
also it's the badge
I think a
Oh,
lot of it
is it
has to do with
always
the
the badge
badge.
Yeah, okay. So that's why the reason why I bring this up is because you see the GTR and the Ferrari, the common point between them is that during its time, it was bringing in new tech. Okay, it's bringing in new tech. It's using a lot of new technology. The LaFerrari has all the new gizzles and whistles on the car, man. Everything hybrid system and all the electronic witchcraft. Some don't know how many hundred-way traction control. You know,
Got the
I don't
F1
know.
system.
Curse
I
system.
don't know some got some curse system. Then maybe you don't even know. Maybe got some DRS. I don't know
I was
what.
gonna say DRS.
I think yes, they had DRS. They
Yeah,
have the
I think it's the
Yeah,
spoilers.
okay.
yes,
So
yes, yes.
basically, all the mechanical and electronic the gizmos they have on the car. But people still say it has a soul because I don't think it's about the technology. So I think for GTR people are just more obsessed with the 32, 33, and 34.
Yeah.
It's because 35 is more mass produced and accessible worldwide.
Oh yeah. Hey, that's a very good point. Like
Hmm.
they never sold
35 is
GTRs.
mass shipped,
Yeah,
mass
yeah.
imported, mass produced. So everybody to a certain extent can
Mm-hmm.
have one. I mean,
You're
honestly,
right.
if we stay in
Especially in
countries
the
with higher
US.
currency, we also can buy one. You know, it's bloody hell. It's cheap, man. In euros, it's cheap. In US dollar, it's cheap. In Swiss francs, it's cheap. But in Malaysian ringgit, it's like I don't know how much. You know,
Swiss francs, bro.
it's Swiss francs is big.
Okay.
But
Sell two kidneys
you get
can
my
never buy
point.
a
You
vote.
know, 35 is much more accessible. Theoretically, it's a more easier to obtain car than 32, 33, 34, and that's why people think that 35 is it's just a normal sports car, no soul, V6 and blah 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 blah. But it was using new technology during its time. It's one of the most advanced cars ever. Period. That
Mm-hmm.
time, 2008, I think it launched
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
So like and it had a story as well. The time they had a story to tell. If you go and search the documentaries where Renault and Nissan had the alliance, and that's
Yeah.
why the 35 was able to be developed. They have a story, they have racing pedigree. The
Mm-hmm.
car won a lot of races and blah blah blah. But it just because of the fact that people think it's easily attainable now, maybe they feel that it has no soul.
Maybe.
But
I
down
think
the
people just see too much of it on the road. That's
yeah,
why.
I
exactly.
think I think there's also some sort of like I call it. I don't know whether this is a term, but I'm just gonna bullshit my way through it. But it's like PlayStation bias. It's like people of a certain age group started playing PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and the
Yeah.
first cars you get in the game because everybody says it's the best car in the game is get a GTR. And they know it, so they know 32 GTRs, they know 33 GTRs, they know 34 GTRs, and then the 35 comes around and is like, but by then they already kind of either stopped playing Gran Turismo or they just stopped caring about it, or maybe they're not as into it anymore. I don't know whether there's any bias or involvement in that, but I feel like after all that we've said so far, we've arrived on a few things, right? History, sound, design, story, and augmented by technology is also a thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I think one thing we didn't answer clearly though is, does adding an N badge to a Hyundai make it soulful? And I'm just gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna put my balls in the freaking vice grip and say yes, it does. It's like, okay, if it doesn't give it soul, it definitely gives it kimchi. Okay, it definitely does, right?
No, bro, it gives it the German touch.
It
And
does.
for
It does give him a
Nürburgring.
German touch, but I feel like it's so much better for it. And I can't. I'm like, if they made every single car an N car from now on, just forget everything Hyundai's ever made, I don't see a problem with that.
But you can't. You can't
They
forget.
can't do it. They can't do it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because
Yeah.
people wouldn't have the money to go and buy it anymore. Hyundai would just like die. You know,
Okay. Just to take this conversation a little bit further on that point, there are no Golf TSIs or base model Golfs anymore in the United States. The base model Golf is a GTI from now on. It's a fact. They have just completely said, forget it. Nobody's interested in a TSI. Sorry, TSI fans out there, okay? Maafkan saya. But nobody gives a fuck about your car anymore. Like, people only give a shit about GTIs. People only want 200 horsepower with the possibility of 300 horsepower on stage 2. So I feel like, in that sense, I mean, just to go with you on that topic, KT, it was just sort of like, oh, and Jeremy, it's like, if I add an N badge to everything and give everything 250 horsepower, does it suddenly have a soul? Like, if you ask me, I'm not even sure my Club Spot has a soul.
Ooh, hey bro, chill lah, bro.
bro.
Boom.
No, no. Club Sport GTI always has the soul.
You
in
think
it.
so?
Yes.
Okay, from the driver's seat, I find it difficult because it's just too much of this DSG.
I think you're coming from manual. I mean,
Yeah.
you're coming from the manual background. But to me, it's the Golf, because the way it handles, the way it speaks to you around corners, like it. When you take the GTI and corner, and you take any other hatchback and try to corner it, it feels very different.
Hmm.
Because normal hatchbacks are for normal people, auntie, uncle, drive it, go to pasar malam and go and get some food or
Groceries,
groceries or
Kueh.
anything.
Goreng
Go
pisang.
to hardware shop, buy
fish.
something, throw inside. Car dirty, don't want to clean, never
Wait,
mind.
wait.
But it kind of different, like where you drive the GTI. It's the power is there, and you have all those technology that helps you corners better, and then after that it's stiffer, and then after that when you corner, it doesn't corner as it corners harder than a normal. And then
Whoa.
after that, you have the joy driving it to get groceries also.
Okay, fair enough.
You
I
will,
think,
you
I
will
mean,
prefer you will prefer taking the detour long route than
yeah, that's true.
Okay. Wait.
Like,
I think because you see, I think you're talking about totally different thing here.
Yeah, it was an off-topic kind of thing, lah.
Yeah, but never mind. I think that's still relevant. I'm just gonna ask you one question relation to this. Okay, Golf GTI, Golf GTI and 308 GTI. Which one got more soul?
308
Wow, this is a
GTI.
hard question, man.
308 GTI. Why?
308
Why?
GTI.
Why? You don't have to think. You feel in your heart.
Because I can tell you, like, one is I have to roll the gears. That's number one. Number two, when the French build anything, it's always with a lot of wine and cheese, and I just feel like they gotta be a little bit crazy to take that engine that everybody knows is okay. It's not a ticking time bomb anymore, but it used to be a ticking time bomb, and to give that thing 270 horsepower, 2 bar of boost, 19-inch rims, the biggest brakes I ever seen on a French car in my entire life, and put it into a package the size of my car and still make the weight. Wow. It will still make the weight come under 1,300 kilos. That is brilliant. That's brilliant. What's the curb weight of that thing? 1.2 something? 1.27 something? Mad.
even GTI is about 1.5, right?
Mine is 1375.
Yeah, 1.3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
1.375.
okay, you see, the reason why you feel that the 308 GTI partially is has a so-called more soul than the Golf GTI is because of all the factors we discussed just now, right? The 308 GTI
Mhm.
ticks more boxes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
GTI and the 308 GTI is very common. They are both normal hatchbacks,
Mm.
people carriers. But then after that, you throw to the racing department and they're like, I want to make this car go fast, and I want it to make it loud, and I want it to whack the corner, and I want it to go around the Nürburgring fast. Then they're like, okay, we go and do some R&D. So both are the same in this
Mm.
aspect. But what's not the same is some of the other factors, like for example, design. Like John mentioned, the rims and the brakes makes it look more aggressive, maybe, and also the story. Golf traditionally haven't really been used in like extreme motorsport. But
Mm.
Peugeot used to race in very hardcore
WRC.
rally
Yep.
events. So they're quite well known as like in terms of motorsport. But Volkswagen maybe not as well known in motorsport as Peugeot. Even though their cars are fast, I'm not saying their cars aren't
Yeah, yeah.
fast. But the problem is when you talk about soul, is you have to look at different factors. And when one car ticks more boxes on the list, then you will kind of feel that it has theoretically more soul.
Oh wow. Okay, so sorry, thunder just came.
Our boxes. So now, so we have the boxes. We can come out like if you want to whether to know what soul
Yeah, a
is.
checklist.
There are
Yeah,
soul,
yeah.
the car soul checklist.
But
Yes.
but I think
Sound
it's
check,
not just
check.
it's not just an off and on kind of tick box though, right? I feel like it's a scale of 10, right, or 5.
It's a kind of the feeling
You
that you
get,
get
yeah,
towards something,
yeah.
like what Mike previously said, like butterflies in the stomach
Stomach.
when you're driving something like
Hmm.
the like one of the best example that you can get is from Lexus.
Nice
Here
one.
we go, man.
Nice segue.
We all know where this is going to now.
Ooh.
When you
Yes.
say Lexus, there is only one car in mind where it relates to soul.
Okay.
Okay, I got 1.5,
No,
bro.
wait,
You have
hold
to
on.
agree on 1.5.
John, you can take it away.
This one, okay. So I guess that's probably why I brought up Hyundai. It's like you can slap an N on everything, but does it have more soul? Because Lexus didn't do that. But what they did, as the most boring soulless brand in the world that Toyota builds, is build possibly the most batshit crazy car that they've ever produced ever in the history of their company, the LFA. An entire carbon monocoque car with a V10 the size of a V8. It weighs about as much as a V6. Who does things like this? The Japanese lah. And like for me, it's like it takes all the boxes, doesn't it? Right? Like it's got a PhD from Yamaha Music School. The V10 sounds like no other V10 anyone's ever heard before, right? Name another V10 that sounds as good. Even a Lamborghini V10 doesn't sound as good as an LFA V10.
It's not close,
Yeah,
man.
LFA,
Nowhere
LFA,
close.
LFA is different, yeah.
Yeah, hands down.
LFA is just a class of its own.
That's why it's interesting when we were doing the prep for this yesterday and talking about it and thinking about it and all that kind of stuff. Yesterday for us, but for everyone else watching this, we don't know when. So, but when we were doing the prep for this, it was just like it's crazy. Like the guys who build Toyota Camrys made a Lexus LFA. They made an LFA. And what was the follow up to that? The Lexus LFLC, right?
Yeah,
LC.
that's why I said they
Piece
have
of shit.
LC maybe 50%, half lah.
But you see,
50%.
the difference is the LFA is so well built
Yeah.
that, and I quote from Jeremy Clarkson, the people who built them do not know how to make it again.
Yeah. I think it's for me the LFA is sort of the marriage of every single characteristic we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, why doesn't it have a DSG? Because why give it a DSG when a single clutch was more than enough? It handles like it's on a knife edge. It tries to kill you, and that's the whole Mike point that he was talking about, right? It's like if it doesn't try to kill you, it's not really alive.
It's like holding you at gunpoint and
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah, it's like Sorry, sir, I don't do partial throttle very well. I only know how to go flat out all the time. Colin McRae, this is my life. You know what I mean? Like it's it's so incredible that like I mean yes, it is incredible as a car, but I think the point was it's more like it's got to be a combination of these things, isn't it? It's got to be a combination of these things. Like you can't just have one of these things without the other. It's like, can you imagine putting like you remember like a long time ago in the 90s? Okay, I know I'm old, but the Renault F1 team put the F1 V10 into a minivan. They call it the Renault Espace. It had 850 horsepower, mid-engine, but it was inside a minivan. And it's like nobody wants that, even though it sounds ridiculous, right? Like it would be like definitely for fun, but can you imagine driving that every day? Like why?
That'd be the fastest kidnapping vehicle ever.
Oh, for sure, man. They bag you and tag you like this, but I tell you, Mike,
You order your parcel today, you get it 2 hours later.
this is like the ninja van you really wanted, right? So
I wouldn't mind that, I would want one.
I mean, like, it's so funny that we're willing to say that certain cars are allowed to have this and other cars are not allowed to have it. I don't know. I just feel like I feel for myself a little bit hypocritical, right? And what I feel like after talking to you guys, I don't know whether you guys feel the same, but they are these characteristics we've talked about them, bum, 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 right? All these 5 points that we talk about: the story, the history, the sound, the technology, the quirks of the car. But also the sixth factor here is also the idea of subjectivity. It's my own personal opinion. If Don says the original Proton Saga has got soul, it's got more soul than that piece of shit Gallardo right behind the back of his head. You know.
To the owner of the Gallardo.
Don't at me, bro. Don't at me.
By
didn't
the
say
way,
that.
by the
I
way,
can't-
by the way, the Gallardo behind is not just a Gallardo.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
not.
an SV.
It's a SV.
No, it's a super Leggera. So if
Yeah.
you were talking about that car, it really has its history and a lot of things going through because the R and D series, the car inside itself, you open the door, everything is in carbon. The
Yep.
seats are fucked up. It's shit to sit on it. Single clutch gearbox, and it's loud as hell.
Yeah, Bad NVH.
But-
I think the mirrors are even thinner than the usual one
Are
because
not functional.
No.
Safe weight, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
the guy who
DRS.
designed the car was like, you won't need mirrors when you're blowing past people at like 200, 300 kilometers an hour.
and that car is actually filled with soul because
I know. I mean, I was just saying, like, basically the idea that personal opinion matters so much
yes.
in this kind of thing. So we all agree, right? The LFA is possibly the most well-engineered, beautiful piece of soul that never came out of Germany, never came out of Europe, right? No Italian touched this car. In fact, only Japanese people, as I understand it, touched this car. They designed this entire thing inside and out, and that has got to be one of the most spectacular things in modern motoring. You know what I mean? Like, fine,
Yes.
there's probably still one or two unsold, but the people who pick those cars up, they're gonna be like the luckiest people in the world.
I wouldn't call it a car. It's an art.
Yeah,
That's what it
it's
is.
like a masterpiece, right?
Yes.
You know, when
Ooh,
all these things come together, and it's like,
that goes into another spectrum of things that we can touch, but I'm not gonna go there.
Let's save that for another day. Let's save
Yeah,
that for another day.
let's save that for another day, because I think hypercars is always going to be a big, huge topic, right?
which is I mean I'll review a bit. What is it? Aston Martin. It's a piece of art, not a car.
Oh.
Ooh, okay.
We can-
That's we can talk about that on another day.
Yes.
Definitely. Oh.
Next, before that, John was talking about the revolution of technology. We'll talk about the revolution of technology. What about Tesla? What about skip straight from hybrid straight to electric, where sound is not there anymore.
Yep.
Technology is so advanced.
Yep.
Things are all muted. Does that mean because it doesn't suit our checklist anymore? It doesn't fit our checklist anymore. So does that mean that it has soul?
It will still try to kill you in ludicrous mode.
I don't.
Probably snap your neck and then after that crack your trachea and you die.
Like, okay, so I've actually seen a Taycan in Bangsa twice now, and every time I see it, okay, you guys don't know this, but I actually hate electric cars. I hate the idea that we're all going electric. Like, honestly, like in all the other WhatsApp groups that I'm part of, everyone's like, John, you're just gonna have to grow the fuck up and like accept the fact that everything's gonna be EV. Stop being a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm the guy who's like, no, I'm gonna stand my ground. Like, why can't we have E85 for the rest of my life? You know what I mean? Like, and when I'm dead, you guys can have your EVs. And the thing is, but when I see the Taycan, I'm like, oh my god, that thing looks beautiful, and it's a sedan. It's a sedan. It looks way better than a Panamera.
Yeah.
And if my life was going to be this in the future, I would take a Taycan. I would take the Taycan. I would take the RS e-tron GT, the Audi. But if someone gave me a Tesla and said this is your only choice, I say fuck you. I would rather take a bus. I'd rather take a bus. Like, you can give me this ludicrous mode, ridiculous mode. You could call it super fragilistic espialidocious mode, and I wouldn't care.
Bro,
like,
what if
take
I
the Tesla and
gave
GTF out.
What if I gave you $5 million and I told you cannot use the money to buy any car anymore?
But
I give you a Nissan Leaf. I give you a Nissan Leaf and $5 million. Will you take it?
Take
You
it.
can't buy another car.
You said I can't buy another car, right?
Yeah, no, you can't drive another car ever.
Oh, drive another car
You
forever.
can't drive any other car except the Nissan Leaf, and you get $5 million. Okay, maybe put $50 million. Would you take it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Because it doesn't mean that someone else cannot drive
Bro,
me, right?
But just because he can't drive it, doesn't mean he can't buy a car and
And
hire
get
a
someone
driver
else to drive me.
The only mode of transportation that you have is the Nissan Leaf.
Yes.
And then
Oh,
take a plane
shit.
to
Yeah,
any
you
other
can't
Then
think
you
of
gotta
a
take the
technicality
5
or
million
some bullshit. You cannot think of some technicality. You cannot like
Okay,
go
fair
and
enough.
sit
You
taxi.
can't you can't pimp up the Nissan Leaf.
Bro, what if he wants to go to USA?
No, you have
bro?
to
You
drive.
can't expect him to drive there, right?
You
No,
can
but
take the plane all the way to US, rent a Nissan Leaf.
Oh my.
I'll tell you what, man. Like 50 million, even if it's ringgit, like it is so much money that I'm willing to live without.
Are you sure?
Oh,
Yeah,
Are you
totally,
sure?
totally. Because let's make it plain as day. I'm already gonna turn 50 in 8 years, and I work in advertising. It's such a subjective line of work. I don't know whether or not I'm going to be employable in the next 5 years.
Okay.
If someone give me 50 million to shut my mouth about cars, give me the money.
Because I'm not asking the logical part of you. I'm asking like the inner car person.
Oh,
Would
yeah.
you
Definitely
succumb
say
to that?
Oh,
Would
don't
you
worry,
succumb to that?
Don.
if
It's so easy. I will put that motherfucker, tie him up, put him in a straitjacket, gag his mouth, stick him in the back room of my brain, and take the 50 mil every day. I don't care if I'm a Twitch streamer with one viewer for the rest of my life with 50 million sitting in the bank account. I don't give a shit. I'll take it all day.
Yeah, 50 million is a bit too much.
I mean, that's a lot of money, Don. If you said 500,000, I would say forget it. I would still work for my money. But like 50 million, man, that's life changing, man. I think so.
you could live in a mansion, man.
Yeah.
I don't even need a mansion, man. Just give me the whole floor of my apartment. I'm good.
I have I can have a fleet of Nissan Leaf out
You
there.
can pave the floor with 100 ringgit notes, man.
It still have leftover.
Okay.
Okay, but no, hold on.
Looks like I'm the only one who won't take the money.
Oh, bro, you
I
are a
won't take
different
the
breed,
money,
lah,
man. I
Don.
won't take the money. Honestly, I
You're a
won't.
different
I'm
breed,
not
lah.
bullshitting.
But you see,
I'm
at
not
the end of the
bullshitting.
day,
If you put the money in front of me, maybe I'll take it. But now I'm just gonna tell you.
yeah,
this
at the end
is
of the day,
bullshit.
it's still
And say I
just
won't
a
take.
scenario of question, But when it actually happens, it may be a different
It's
story.
tough.
You
It's
take
tough.
very long to
Yeah.
Your life situation defines that as well, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That's why I'm not asking the logical side. I'm asking the inner car guy in you.
Unfortunately, you're asking old man, lah,
Right,
bro.
You get what I'm asking?
I'll probably play the sound of my V8 using that money to buy.
Oh shit!
You build one of those, those 4D what roller coasters in your house. So it blows the air, it shakes you left and right, you get the G forces. Okay, wait. So just going back to this whole thing about Tesla versus Porsche and all that kind of stuff. I know, I wouldn't be caught dead in a Tesla, and it's just because things like the Audi is out there, things like the Porsche is out there, and the reason why I mentioned Audi is because we talked about it, right? Like the Audi e-tron RSGT or whatever is just basically a baby version of the whoa, that was loud. The baby version of a Taycan. So I'm interested to know what you guys feel because to me, the people who built the Porsche added soul, but the people who built the Tesla just didn't. They didn't. I just feel like they went to Star Trek: The Next Generation and told Captain Picard and said, "Beam down, Scotty, or whatever, into this car," and it's like, eh.
I think it's more like where does the manufacturer itself on what the purpose they are trying to solve. For Porsche, it is created for drivers. It's created for people who loves cars. But for Tesla, it's created for the next generation, the environment. So, I
But why?
mean,
But why does it have to look like that? It looks like a Toyota
yeah,
Camry. Sorry to bring it up again.
but it kind of lost its soul the moment it was being created because the purpose of creating something it's different.
Mm.
It's already different. Like I don't care the world's gonna burn. I'm not really sure my kids gonna have gonna see the meteor strike down again, strike down towards human being as like a dinosaur back then. But screw this shit, man. I'm just gonna come out with a P1 or
Yeah.
LaFerrari for that reason to take to for that reason to take the environmental friendly hybrid to just burn the whole shit out.
Hmm.
And you have those kind of Tesla. I was like, yeah, I think I want my kids to know what Tiger is, so I created Tesla for you guys.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
so I think
oh, you know how we always like to say things like, oh, this car was created by accountants, and
Oh,
therefore like corners were cut, design choices were lost because it cost too much money. And I feel like a Tesla is too utilitarian. You know what I mean? Like it's like I can have a fork and a knife, but I can also have diamonds on my fork, and I can also have a gold knife. And to me, if an electric car is going to be like a Taycan, I want that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to put it into words. Like it's not just because Porsche builds it. Because even I had the money and I couldn't afford the Taycan, I would still buy the Audi e-tron if I had to choose. Because that to me looks like soul.
I think it comes back to what Jeremy mentioned. Lah. It's
Hmm.
about the looks.
It's part of it, isn't it? Right? Like, but I also feel like the hands that touched this and their what Katie said, which was what was the MO, what was the modus operandi of even building this damn thing? Like Porsche's like, I can save the planet, and you could look damn good doing it too,
yeah.
right?
Damn.
Whereas Tesla is just like, we're gonna save the planet, but our thing looks like a bucket on wheels. Here, have a bathtub. It's like what?
Yeah, get my truck.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, the truck.
Fucking
I-
tin can, bro. Milo tin can to strip out the
Oh, shit.
table.
It's
The
mad, but
Americans love the look of the truck. They're like,
oh,
I
dude,
don't know
Of course,
if
the
the designer
Americans.
is from
Ugh.
Malaysia or not. Lah.
I don't
a
know,
lot of people
man.
like the look of the truck.
A lot of people, I think a lot of people are on that Elon Musk dick. You know what I mean? Like they're like anything
Yeah,
he does, it's like
they're quite sold. Yeah,
it's like
Nice
all
pops
the
with the
So
rock.
much soul in that man.
yeah, it's just like I don't get. I mean, I get he's a genius and all that kind of stuff. I really do, but his
It's a
greatest contribution to society was giving Porsche a blueprint to make something better from.
yes, exactly.
Oh,
Right?
Exactly.
Can we all agree on that at least?
That's a burn.
That's what I think the whole automotive world would actually believe
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah.
would you be able to look on the other side of things? Like if
Mhm.
let's say Tesla were to have like example an N badge or an AMG badge or an M
Oh,
badge? Like, you know what
Sure.
is that even possible? Like, would you change your mind?
Jeremy,
Well,
I think that's a great question, bro. You know why I would say yes? It's the stupidest reason as well. Do you remember the movie Prestige?
Prestige. Is
Hugh
it like
Jackman
the
and Christian
magician? Yeah.
Bale. Yeah. So they had Nikola Tesla in that movie, and he was played
Uh-huh.
by David Bowie, right, the musician.
Mm-hmm.
And just because it was David Bowie, I will always allow Tesla to make improvements, even though they're not related at all. They're totally unrelated, but just because of one actor and one musician, and the fact that Tesla as a name itself was such a great name, I think that, I mean, to be honest, there's always room for improvement. I will never consign Tesla as a brand to history of being shit for its entirety, just because they make an ugly P100D and an ugly pickup truck. It's not fair, to be honest, right? It's like it's that part of me that goes like, you know what? No matter what you do, you deserve a second chance. Hyundai, if you can build an i30N, I can learn to live it. You know what I
and
mean?
then
In that sense.
which which begs the question: do you like the Tesla Roadster?
No,
Ah.
no,
See,
that shit could just GTFO, man, all day.
you
I'm just sorry, man. Like,
see,
I,
it looks nice. I mean,
I think the design looks good.
but
Honestly, I
it
think
looks good, but I wouldn't have it as well. I would also go for the Taycan if you let
yeah,
me shoot.
if that's our future, I want it to be the prettiest future in the world. Like, I I feel like the design language on the Taycan, the e-trons, they're doing something at Volkswagen Group that I don't think any other car company is doing. Like, you look at the Chevrolet Volt, that looks like a regular Chevrolet. Where's the future? Where's my DeLorean doors and the space
Mark E,
thing?
Ford Mark E.
Yeah, I mean, even that doesn't really sort of tick the box, right? Like, if the future is gonna look like something, the future's gonna look like that.
Because I think is one thing is because like Mark E was supposed to come from the heritage of the Mustang, is it
Yeah,
or not?
yeah,
Yeah, but and Mustang was supposed to be loud, roaring,
yeah.
tire burning.
yeah, with a V8
Roar,
motor.
With a V8 motor.
It's
motor.
it's either you people get out of the way or I'll mow you down.
Yeah.
But then it goes become the fuck. What's going on? What's going on with the Mustang turning into things like that? I mean, it's the future, but
I don't know.
you know,
It's so sad. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it is
it's,
sad.
it's a
This is
bit sad.
depressing,
It's a
man.
bit
This
sad.
is
Yeah.
depressing, man.
Where are all the soul
Yeah.
in things that was supposed to be there?
Do you guys remember watching Elysium, the movie? The Matt Damon movie where he's got to go up to the moon. There's like a
Yeah.
base on the moon or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's got to get cured of his radiation sickness. And
Yeah.
in the beginning of the movie, the getaway car is a beat up 2009 Nissan GTR from like 50 years into the future. And I was like, what? How is a Nissan GTR like the getaway car for the future? I was like, damn it! I was like, how dare you disrespect my car by putting a bullpen on it, man? Like, I don't know. I just, it's just silly, crazy stuff. But at the same time, when you looked at cars in that film, the bad guy, the guy who runs the evil corporation, he's riding in a Bugatti spaceship. It's like, whoa, that's a future I can live with. You know what I mean? Like, let's forget our rubber donut wheels and all that kind of stuff, man. Like, give me a rocket ship, man. I don't know. That's just,
Yeah.
it's just hearsay. You know what I mean? Like, it's just talking points, right? It's like when you look at the future and everyone's like, oh, Blade Runner 2047. It's like, that's 26 years away and we're nowhere near a floating car.
Ultimately, I think all of us would agree on one thing. We would, if we have the choice, we will still stick to the internal
Yep.
combustion engine
Yeah, I would.
rather than going into
I would.
all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
all these
I mean,
things.
I definitely feel like, okay, this is really going to be an unpopular comment, but it's the truth. The way world economies are set up right now is like, yes, most of the world is going to go into starvation. And there is plenty of farmland, there's plenty of food to go around. It's just not distributed to the poorest people. That is the truth.
Yeah.
And if as long as the system's like this, I actually don't care if some people stop growing food and start making ethanol. I don't, because selfishly, I still want to drive my petrol engine car with ethanol instead of petrol. So, like, since nobody smokes cigarettes anymore and everybody's vaping, why can't we just build fields of ethanol, like corn that's ready to be made into ethanol? Corn is the most resilient food plant ever built, ever grown. That's why the entire American Food and Drug Administration is driven off of corn, right? Corn syrup, corn fructose. They have corn starch, corn meal. You do a
Cornflakes.
million things out of corn, right? And you can even, make a car, like you can make an Evo run 600 horsepower with E85. You can't do that with petrol.
So basically, you're telling me that the Evo can run 600 horsepower on corn.
No, not necessarily just on corn. You still need like an X47 whole set turbo.
No, that's not.
You'll need
that's
like
what
a.
I hear, man. That's what I hear. Evo run on corn, yes.
You have a one-track mind, my friend.
You just take the corn and stuff it into the fuel tank.
Okay, we're fapping a.
Man. I take my Evo, bro. My Evo, right? Bigger turbo. I use what? I put 2 corns inside.
Fuck you. Hey, when the moment it makes the
twin corn.
when it goes into the exhaust, you get popcorn lah.
Whoa. I'm not sure whether actually gonna survive that.
I don't know. But okay, so I guess let's just recap a little bit, right? In the future, if it's all going to be EVs, if it looks like a Porsche Taycan, I guess we can live with it, right? I guess.
If I
Not
can
you.
afford it,
Okay,
yeah.
fine. KT's out. KT's out. I will make a small concession for myself and all the people who've told me to grow up. It's like, if it's going to be... Whoa, shit. That was loud. If it's going to be an EV, it's going to look like that. I don't mind. But when it comes down to it, everything we talked about today, I feel like we identified certain traits that we can now measure a soul in a car, right? We talked about
Yes.
sound, we talked about design, technology, history, but there's also this part about subjectivity. It's the kind of opinion that when you apply your thought to something, you will give that particular car soul, and it's always up to that person, the individual, to sell another person on the reason why they feel that their car has a soul. And I think now's a good time to bring this up. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you, the
It's a very
viewer?
good point.
Yeah,
It's a very good point. A car with no soul can actually be made into a car with a soul.
Yeah, because there are reasons, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's some things that don't meet the eye all the time. And I think that's sort of the perfect place to tell people, like, hey, if you're watching this on Facebook or wherever we put this thing, what are your thoughts about cars with a soul? What is a soul to you? Like, I want to see like 1,000 messages of everybody going, John, you're wrong. Don, shut up. Mike, take a hike. Jeremy, I don't know. KT, nobody likes V8s, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see some interaction, man. I want to see people's opinions, because this is one of those topics that is a never-ending thing.
Yeah.
Somebody might come up and tell us, 10 posts down from when this gets posted, and be like, hey, you guys left out this, and this. What about these as traits? And I think that's the beauty of this topic, right? Is like, the reason why we're discussing it is because we want to know.
It's always open and it's never ending debate,
Yeah.
never ending argument, which kind of contributes to what a soul really is. And
Yeah.
that
And
really
it-
says something to the people around that to the people on automotive community, that actually a lot of things we can still, I mean, it's a part of unity anyway, right?
Mhm.
To see the differences of thoughts and everything, the sharing and the sharing between one another, that we can agree or disagree,
Yep.
yeah.
I think that's cool. Any closing thoughts from you guys before I hand it to one of you to take us out?
I think that's about it. I think
Yeah.
we covered all the
I
checklists.
think we covered all of it. So
Yep.
we're gonna start this new thing where at random I'm gonna nominate one of you to close the show, and you won't know beforehand. So I'm going to close my eyes and think. Jeremy, take us out.
Oh, okay. So the last part, Katie said something about like this is what like uh, unite us, all of us. Like talking about the subjectivity of whether there is a soul or not. Like whether your car has a soul. But I guess that's why we like cars. The subjectivity of it. Like, someone can think that Saga is amazing. Someone can think like like Lexus um, well, it's not a good manufacturer, but there are so many CT 200H or the people who like their GSs, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean that's why we get it together and talk about cars. So I guess um, back to the soul and like the future of like cars. Uh, the the thing about like the future is these cars will be built by us. Like the consumers will have like feedback, and the manufacturers will want to sell more cars, and
Hmm.
there will be designers out there. So I think the future is pretty bright. Like I mean, just what you said, like John, like what Porsche is trying to do, and yeah, I think that in the future, uh, EV or not, like the cars, they will still have like soul in their own ways. So
Some,
I think
some.
the future is bright. Yeah, there's hope. There's hope. Yeah.
All
Most
right.
definitely.
So do the thing. Like, subscribe, and
Like,
we'll see you in the next one. We're out.
yeah.
Cut.